Hey kiddo, it is Mom and it is your 11th birthday. And every year you ask me to tell you the story of when you were born. And every year I make sure to do that for you. And this year I decided I would do it this way because someday you might want to have a recording of this story. So, your due date was June 13th, which just happened to be a Friday the 13th. But as it would kind of prove to be our entire relationship, you were just a little bit stubborn and didn't want to come out. So you stuck around, and it was June and it was miserably hot. Finally, after trying to do everything I possibly could to see if I could get you to go out, I just decided to try to relax a little bit. On June 20th, I started to go into active labor with you. I started having contractions and ended up going to the hospital on the night of the 20th. I got to the hospital, they took a look at me and told me, nope, she's not ready to come out yet. You need to go home and sleep. And I remember thinking how impossible that sounded. So the next morning, we got up really early and went to Chimo Pond so I could try to walk around and see if I could convince you to get moving so that you could get out. And Aunt Lori and Uncle Donnie and Gretchen and Madison were at camp that day. And we were going for a walk, trying to get you to kind of move along. And eventually, I started to have a really hard contraction and I needed to sit down. I sat down in a chair. And no sooner did I sit down in a chair, but Madison came over, sat on my lap, and said, Audrey, when I have a baby, I'm going to make sure that it's really small so that it doesn't hurt me much. And I remember trying not to laugh during that. Eventually, around 5 o'clock, Gert and Gramp and Uncle Criffy came over to the house to check to see how I was. And I remember telling them during contractions and while I was eating a salad that this was really gonna suck. Contractions make you not quite as eloquent as you normally would be. Got to the hospital, they took a look and said that this time they would keep me. I went into a more steady labor a little bit later in the evening when the doctors decided to give me an epidural, break my water, and give me Pitocin all at once. Unfortunately, it was kind of a bad decision. It made things a little bit rough for me. And sometime around 1 o'clock in the morning, I started to have incredible pain. The nurse came in and asked me if I was feeling extra pain down there, and I said yes. And she said, well, you must just have a full bladder. And so she said, I'm going to give you a catheter. So she placed the catheter, but instead of that being the problem, the actual problem was that you were coming out, finally. And then the doctor didn't make it in time, and I had the resident there, and you decided to come out with your head like this, your arm like this over your head. And shortly after 2 o'clock in the morning, there you were on June 22nd. The first thing that I did was call Gert and Gramp while you were in my arms, and I called them and said, hey, guess what I just did? They got you cleaned up, you scored perfectly on the APGAR, and they took you away to clean you up and bring you back to me in the morning. We were in the hospital for another 2 days, and we had a ton of visitors. We actually kind of called our room the pool hall because there were so many visitors and so many people that wanted to come and see you that it was kind of like a big pool hall. It was way too loud. After the extra 2 days, we swaddled you up and brought you home. And I guess the important thing for me to tell you during this is that there were a lot of things going very wrong in my life at that moment. But the feeling I had the minute you were in my arms is something that I'll never forget and I will always cherish forever. That day you made me a mom, and I've never felt love the way that I do as I do for you. You truly saved me, and I am so blessed to be your mom, and I can't begin to tell you how proud I am of the little girl you are and the woman that you're becoming. Seriously, kiddo, you are a phenom, and don't let anybody ever take away your shine, because you are going to do phenomenal things in this world. And I love you more than anything in the entire universe. So there's your birth story, sunshine, and you can now watch it anytime that you want to. Whether I'm here or I'm gone, the story is always going to be here for you, just like I am. Love you so much, babe. Happy birthday.